Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and today we're looking at the high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans Helmwige Reincar. So the Helmwige Reincar is based off of the Valkyria frame, which is the same basic frame it shares with the Grimgird. However, the Helmwige Reincar adds a lot of massive armor panels to really bulk the design out and make it look like a big, powerful Minotaur. However, one place it doesn't look powerful is the waist. Yes, IBO kits have always had pretty skinny waists. Most of them just have basically a metal beam running from their waist to their torso. However, in this case, because of how big and powerful looking everything is around it, it kind of looks out of place here. However, if you use the abdominal joint to rotate the chest down to meet the waist, you can actually hide that little thin area quite nicely, and then you can readjust the shoulders and head to remain straight, and while he does look a little bit hunched over this way, it does a nice job filling in the gap. The other area that the Helmwige Reincar looks a little on the weak side is the back of the legs because there is no armor covering them up. The leg build of the Helmwige Reincar basically just consists of a bunch of hollowed out armor shells that you clip over the front of the frame, which means the entire back section is completely exposed. It reminds me of some of the earlier LEGO Hero Factory sets, and not in a good way. Fortunately, this is a kit you're probably not likely to see much of from behind, so ultimately it isn't that big of an issue. So despite being an IBO kit, the Helmwige Reincar is actually really light on the stickers. The only foil stickers used in this kit are a round sticker for the eye, a yellow sticker for the front of the chest, and a yellow sticker on the top of each wrist cuff. None of these foil seals stick out or detract from the design in any way, and even if they do, it is pretty easy to just paint these sections in. Moving on to articulation, the head can look really far up and really far down, and the shock horns can be rotated from here down to here for stabbing action. The head can tip this far to the side and rotate a full 360 degrees. Now moving on to the arms, the shoulder pad can move up to here, and then the side flap can move up to here, and you do have to be careful moving this shoulder armor as it can come loose really easily. With the shoulder guards out of the way, the arms can come up very far, and the entire shoulder joint can swing forward about that much. Rotation is unrestricted, and there's a bicep swivel underneath the shoulder. The elbow has a really deep double jointed bend, but with the shoulder pad attached, you're only getting a little over 90 degrees. And it has the same ball jointed wrist as every high grade ever. It is sometimes possible for the shoulder guards to get snagged in an inwards position, but if you yank and pull and fiddle at them for long enough, you will be able to swing them back out. And if we come here to the back, there is a thruster portion on the rear that can be moved from here to here. The torso itself can look up really far, and down really far as well, giving you a lot of posing options. The ball joint can tip side to side a decent amount too. And the waist swivel is completely unrestricted. The legs have about this much forward and back movement, and you can come pretty close to doing a full split. And I should note right now that while the hip skirt armor here is mounted on a ball joint, there's really not a lot of movement on it. It's mostly just a method of attachment. There is a completely unrestricted bicep swivel, and below that is a very deep double-jointed knee bend. The feet have just a little bit of forward and back movement, and an absolutely insane amount of side-to-side movement. The ankle guard is also attached by a limited ball joint that can help with some more extreme poses. The foot can also rotate a full 360 degrees below the ankle joint. So despite its bulky appearance, the Helmwige Reincar is actually a mobility monster with a ton of joints that allow you to get this guy into some really awesome poses. And to help you get the most out of this kit, Bandai has included a pretty awesome spread of accessories. So the first accessory included with this kit has actually been on him this whole time. This yellow piece on the top of his chest can be removed, and this piece can then be attached to his face to make a pretty awesome knightly looking battle mask. This is also a great option for customizers who want their own custom colored Helmwige to have a different face from the original. Although if you look at it from the wrong angle, it does look a little silly. The next set of accessories are an alternate pair of feet with the toes outspread. And these pieces are awesome as they give the kit a really stable foot base that allows you to pull off some pretty crazy poses. And finally, we have the main weapon for the Helmwige Reincar, this enormous spear, sword, and mace fusion. This is an absolutely massive weapon. So big in fact that it is significantly taller than the kit itself. It's actually so heavy that there's a little tab and slot mechanism used to attach it, sort of like something you'd see on a Master Grade. And furthermore, there are a lot of different ways you can have him hold this weapon. He can lug it around by an external handle, or alternatively, you can extend this section, and then you can have the sword attached to his hand by any point on this handle, since the slot for connecting it runs all the way down. And believe it or not, he actually has very few problems holding this giant weapon up on his own. And if you want him to dual hand this weapon, you can pull the handle out further by extending this section. And once you have that second handle extended, he can hold onto his sword reasonably comfortably with both hands. However, this is where the biggest problem with this weapon arises. You'll notice that there's a pretty big buckle in the handle right here. Well, that's because this guy's massive spear is actually two separate weapons. And posing this guy with two small swords is almost as much fun as posing with one big one. And while both these weapons are pretty awesome on their own and they look great combined, the connection point they used to attach could have really used some polishing, because not only does it not connect very well and has a tendency to buckle under pretty much any kind of pressure, it actually looks pretty ugly from most angles. And not at all like something you'd expect to see on a giant mobile suit. So sometimes the Helmwige Reincar needs to take a little break from holding up his big heavy sword, so for those times, you get this. And what you do to use this connector is you pull the front of the waist off, you attach it right here, you clip it over the handle of the sword, and then, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this looks super dumb. It actually looks even more ridiculous from this side. And that's really all there is to say about the Helmwige Reincar. It is a pretty simple Iron-Blooded Orphans model kit. The only other thing really worth mentioning about this kit is the colors, because the shade of yellow they used on this kit is actually coming fairly accurately through the camera. This is more or less what you will get, although it is just a little bit brighter in person. And of course, this particular shade of mustard yellow isn't for everyone. I know that from personal experience. I was not too hot on this design when I first saw it. But after seeing this kit in person and putting it together, the colors of it really have grown on me. So overall, the high-grade Helmwige Reincar does have a few strikes against it. It does have a few down points, but for the most part, I'd say this is a pretty awesome model kit and a really solid installment in the high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans model line that I definitely recommend you pick up if you're any kind of fan of IBO, or you just want a pretty cool, buff, powerful-looking mobile suit for your collection. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. And if this is your first time on Channel 2S, I'm Second Soundwave, and I'll be bringing you daily Gunpla videos, from news to reviews to unboxings to builds, anything I can think of and everything in between, on a mostly daily basis. So if you want to see that in your sub box, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And furthermore, I have just started experimenting with live streams, so if you don't want to miss the next live stream that I do, make sure you have that notification bell turned on. And as always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time.